What?
Why are you shaking your head? You're welcome.
What's up, Fantasy Points? This is Outside the Box for week 15. Back for week 15. Told you last week we might not do a show this week. We're going to do a short show for you. Sadly, not in person, but we can still do a show. We're going to go about an hour here, doing the usual format, talking for DraftKings tournaments, going position by position, maybe poking holes in the chalk a little bit, but mostly just finding some contrarian plays for you. Scott, sounds like you are feeling well today. Are you feeling good about this slate?
Yeah, feeling a bit better, feeling pretty good. How are you doing? I was supposed to come out there. Shout out to Mazer Bowie, who gave me a free ticket, and I was good to go. My wife took off work, and I got sick. Also, I have to write the slate breakdown and whatnot, so wasn't able to make the 5-hour drive out there. But you're there. How's it going? Are you having fun? Are you learning how to program your own sims? Are you what's going on?
No, not learning much. Having a lot of fun, drinking more than I should, feeling it when I'm not drinking, like waking up in the middle of the night, like, oh my God, I feel terrible. Also, like hotel rooms always too hot, and then you add on drinking on top of like it's already warmer than it should be. So not sleeping the best, but generally feeling good. Happy to be out here. Mad that Kyle Pitts ruined my best ball
over
season.
this. We're both like 66-degree sleepers.
64 is what we keep it at in our
go.
bedroom at home, and that's because it doesn't get colder. We at our old apartment, we would set our air conditioner to 60 degrees, and that was ideal. And then we moved into our new house, and we got a new, like, we put in a whole new AC system, and learned after we put it in that it's still this expensive AC system goes to a minimum of 64 degrees. So I've adapted to that, but it's a struggle for me to adapt even further to hotels being not quite cold enough. Well, so I honestly I've looked at this slate a little bit. I've tried to dive in a bit, but because I've been traveling, have not looked at it as much as I would have some other slates. So I'm very curious to hear your thoughts on this one, Scott. We're going to be going, of course, position by position as usual. Oh yeah, please do like the video and subscribe to the Fantasy Points YouTube channel. Of course, we're traveling and still streaming for you, so you can please like the video to support us. And if you haven't signed up for Fantasy Points yet, Scott, should they do it now? I mean, every week you just tell people don't do it yet. There's a better time to sign up.
Yeah, it's actually next week. But if you want to just subscribe now and then complain to customer service, like they'll hook you up. Like we have an awesome customer service. I mean, it's Joe. It's just Joe Dolan. So yeah, you can subscribe now, gain access to the slate breakdown, Ryan Heath's advanced matchups, all of our projections. If you're over at Solver, you can gain access, and you're a subscriber to Fantasy Points, you can gain access to our projections, which last I checked, best in the industry. So yeah, check all that out.
You can use promo code OTB15 to get 15% off, already reduced prices, all that good stuff. Scott, we don't have as much time today, so we're just going to get right into it. I'm going to zoom in a little bit, and we can talk about some of the chalkier quarterback options on the slate. Jackson Dart, the only quarterback reaching double digits at 10%. Nice matchup with the Commanders, who J.J. McCarthy just crushed the Commanders last week. So you would think that Jackson Dart might have a shot as well. How are you feeling about Jackson Dart this week?
I'm feeling really good. He immediately jumped out to me on Monday as like the best quarterback play by a fairly wide margin. I mean, it's just like an easy argument. He's averaging 23.1 DraftKings fantasy points per start, easily ranked second best among all slate eligible quarterbacks. He's priced as the QB 15. He has a best possible matchup. Washington, if you throw out Dallas not on the slate, Washington leads the league in EPA or ranks dead last in EPA per dropback allowed, fantasy points per dropback allowed, passer rating allowed, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They're also seriously banged up. Like they've been all year, but now they have another starting perimeter cornerback out. So it's going to be like down to their third string and then their like second string slot that you've moved outside. It's bad. The only potential concern here is the last time we saw Jackson Dart, he didn't have a single design run, and he was averaging about 4 design runs per game. And so there's been all this talk in New York about, we need to protect him from himself. We're not going to make the playoffs. We don't have Malik Neighbors. What's the point? And so that's a real serious concern. Luckily, I tried to look in, all the transcripts, didn't see anyone ask about that. But I DM'd Dan Duggan, who's, I think, by far the best Giants beat writer. He was like, "Oh, I actually asked the OC about this a couple of days ago," and he showed me the transcript of that, and it was encouraging to me. It was like it was a function of the matchup, and it was kind of just happenstance. But yeah, obviously, that's a big part of what makes Jackson Dart great. So I think that's still like some of the risk. They're looking. Are they in the? I think they're in the driver's seat right now for the first overall pick. So that's always going to be a concern. But just on paper, to me, this is really good shot.
All right, so we're liking some Jackson Dart. Always Be Water says best quarterback play for what? Cash, large field GPP. Be specific for a single entry and 3 max guys. Yeah, that's something that I think I need to work on, is always talking about what we're talking about in general. Usually this show, you can assume we're talking about tournaments. We're not talking about cash games unless we specify
right.
We like this for cash. Jackson Dart, I would say, probably works for. I didn't call him the best quarterback. I don't know if when you say the best quarterback play on the slate, do you like him the best for large field tournaments, for smaller field tournaments, or both? I mean,
I just mean in a vacuum, he should project as the best. He actually doesn't. CJ Stroud projects better, but I disagree with Chris Weck there. I think that's wrong. I would play him as my cash quarterback, but I don't think that's going to be industry consensus, and I think Johnny might disagree with that. But that is what I would do.
Okay. Yeah, it looks like
so not official cash play. And then another note is like you're typically more MME, smaller dollar, larger field. I'm more single entry 3 max, higher dollar, smaller field.
Yeah. So that's why I throw out just absolutely insane sounding plays. Sometimes you're like, why the hell would anybody play him? It's because I'm trying to beat a field of 200,000 and not 2,000 or 3,000.
I get a great Neil ass play for you, by the way.
Ooh, love to hear that, because I don't have any yet. I don't think on this slate.
You can borrow it.
Okay, thank you. All right, so beyond Jackson Dart, we've got the Baltimore-Cincy game. Looks like Lamar Jackson is chalk. Joe Burrow only getting 4% ownership. Lamar is cheaper, $6,400 Lamar Jackson against the Bengals, projected for 9% ownership. Joe Burrow getting 4%. He is more expensive, $6,600. How do you feel about the quarterbacks in the Baltimore-Cincinnati game?
It's kind of weird to see Lamar Jackson pop. Or, I mean, 9% is not a lot, but top 3, given just how much he's struggled over the past month plus. But I will say there's just so much upside to the. I mean, I do prefer Burrow at ownership for sure, but there's just a ton of upside to this game. And I want to be aggressive in game stacking it. But I will say that 9% surprised me. I like the angle of if I'm stacking Lamar, honestly, double stacking with the tight ends, both of them, or at least one, and that's about it. And then on the Bengals side, I really like Jamar Chase, who we'll get into, Mitch Tinsley, Mike Gesicki, and so all of those names except for Chase are extreme values. 3 tight ends, Mitch Tinsley. And so if this game goes over, which historically it's done, there's a pathway for it to really put you ahead. And, 6,400 is not at all prohibitive. Last year we were used to almost 8K Lamar Jackson. So there's a world where you could afford Jackson, 2 of the tight ends in this game, Chase, Tinsley, and then Puka, CMC. So like I said, I like this game to stack.
Yeah, I wonder if that is going to be chalky. Play the double tight end angle, because I think it's like everybody's like tight ends against the Bengals is what you do, and these guys are cheap, and like they happen to have 2 good tight ends. I'm really curious to see how much that trio ends up being used. But I think it's probably not that much. Like I think it's still people don't want to play 2 tight ends. So I think that's absolutely viable. And as noted, DJ Turner is has shut down wide receiver 1s, so people were not going to want to play Zay Flowers for that reason. It makes a lot of sense. CJ Stroud getting 9% ownership at 5,200 against Arizona. Do you like Stroud here?
I mean, this is a little surprising too, just given how poorly he's performed over the past calendar year plus. I think he has won 300-yard passing games since, I don't know, before Halloween of last year. But it is an elite matchup. We have seen Stroud be a bit more efficient, productive since he's returned, and we saw Davis Mills, same thing before that. A more pass heavy approach. Nick Chubb badly banged up, so I can't take issue with it. I do have that instinct of like with these guys like CJ Stroud, Trevor Lawrence, like when has it worked out? So like, why are we playing this into ownership? And I still feel that way to some degree, but just given the spot, given the price, I can't get mad at it either.
I was just pulling up the Texans route share report just to see like have any of these rookies finally popped? Are they getting there? And Jaden Higgins actually down to 51% route participation in that last game. Jalen Noel still at 46%. It's kind of like you only really have two options that you feel good about stacking with Stroud in Nico Collins and Dalton Schultz, and then it's kind of you can play him if you want, but none of them running full-time routes makes it a little bit tougher. I wish that we could have gotten the bump up to 80% route participation for Jaden Higgins or some reason to play some of the value. But anyway, on the other side of Jackson Dart is Marcus Mariota at 5,000, getting 7% ownership. He is in terms of fantasy points per dollar. Looks like those two are, I guess, right on CJ Stroud at the top, and then it's Dart and Mariota tied at 3.757 fantasy points per dollar. Do you like Mariota? It sounds like you like Dart better than Mariota, but at 7% ownership. Any interest there?
Yeah, I really like Mariota. I like I said on Monday, I think I was expecting like 15% Dart, 5% Mariota, and to probably come in even. But yeah, he's a great play. He's underrated. In his starts, he's averaging 18.5 fantasy points per game, would rank 10th best, not just on the slate overall. And we saw last year too, like really impressive fantasy point per drop back, which is maintained this year. He's run for at least 40 yards in half of his starts. This is an easy top three matchup. Giants also decimated by injury. No Kayvon Thibodeau. Dexter Lawrence is questionable. So this really looks like a great spot. And I think he's much easier to stack than he's been. No Zach Ertz, that should benefit Deebo Samuel, as there's some sort of redundancy in the areas of the field they operate in, and Deebo is projecting as the better value. But I'm really excited about Terry McLaurin for tournaments. His upside in Mariota's starts, he's averaging a 3.8 yards per route run, would rank top 3 among all players. The last game they had together, he had the third most XFP of any player in any game this season. He did that with just a 58% route share, and then 75% of those routes coming against the league's best cornerback, Patrick Surtain. So you could stack them up with either or both. And you also have Wandale and you have Theo Johnson. I really like this game. I like the shootout potential. So does Vegas, by the way, third highest over under on the slate. Good old fashioned slot fest against two of the worst defenses in football. One note I had is there's a quote from Cliff Kingsbury that came out earlier in the week that literally just about everyone missed. He said, quote unquote, the running game has been the best thing we've done. So we've definitely got to lean on that. I've been really proud of Chris Rodriguez and his progress throughout the year. He's really playing at a high level right now. So that has to be how we win these games moving forward. I saw that. I mentally bumped Mariota down. And now I'm thinking like Jackson Dart really needs to push them off of the run in order for this. I mean, it's a meaningless game for both teams, by the way, for them to lean more pass heavy. And I legitimately kind of like C-Rod. So although he is hurt, so we have to monitor that, but I like this game more than most, or at least pieces from this game more than most. So I think this is interesting.
Yeah. So would C-Rod's status affect your interest level in Mariota? Like if C-Rod ends up sitting, then would you have a lot more interest in Mariota? Okay.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. I unfortunately I am kind of relying on Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt in some best balls in week 15. Not the place you want to be. So hopefully C-Rod sits. we already talked about Trevor Lawrence a little bit. Brock Purdy, I was just pulling up, looking at pass
Hey,
rate over
I
expectation.
just don't. I wanted to say one thing about Trevor Lawrence. I do not want to be a T-Law hater this week, although I've been like throughout his entire career. He's looked great the last 2 weeks. Like honestly, two of the best games of his career. I didn't write him up. I'm not going to play him, but I won't mock you. I won't yell at you for playing him this week.
All right, that is good note. Good note from Scott that he's not going to mock you to the same level as usual if you play Trevor Lawrence. The Titans defense. This is top pass funnel in terms of teams are throwing on the Titans, which is not what I would have expected against this Titans defense because you can do whatever you want. But teams have been throwing on the Titans all year. Now we get Brock Purdy against the Titans. Do you think the Niners are going to throw on the Titans? Do you want to play any Brock Purdy?
Yeah, I've had like $600 sitting in my FanDuel account since like week 3, and I just haven't played there. I just keep forgetting about it. But I'm going to play there this week. Purdy, Kittle stacks, really, really cheap over on FanDuel. Still also, good value on DraftKings. Just more extreme values on FanDuel. Yeah, you saw Shadur go crazy. Shadur's not playing well. Like it ranks dead last in completion percentage over expectation, dead last in catchable throw rate, dead last in or first in yak percentage. So really carried by the receivers. It's just the Titans are awful. League's biggest pass funnel since week 7. Bottom 3 in just about every passing stat. Schedule adjusted, they're like 2.5 times as bad as anyone else. Great spot. So love me some Purdy stacks. Prefer Kittle among the receivers. Always want exposure to Christian McCaffrey, even in these pass funnel spots. So yeah, I like Purdy.
Matthew Stafford, Jared Goff. Stafford projected for 6% ownership at 7,000. Goff is just 6,100 projected for 4% ownership. Another game with a really high total. Are you interested in playing some Stafford and or Goff?
Yeah, this is just, it looks like the potential to, really destroy the slate in a way that the other games can't. 55 point over under, 30.5 implied total for the Rams, 24.5 for the Lions, 6 point dogs. I don't remember the last time we saw that. So should force them to lean aggressive and into the pass. I like personally Goff a little bit more, I think, but yeah, they're both just really great plays. An interesting note here is Adams is old, which we know, and he's dealing with a hamstring. He only practiced 1 day this week, only a limited capacity. They finally upgraded Tutu Atwell. So I think that makes that side easier to stack. I think you're for the pass catchers, you're looking at Puka and you're looking at Kobe Parkinson, who has really good touchdown upside, but not much else. And then Lions, obviously Gibbs, Amon-Ra, J-Mo, and yeah, usually it's, Lions are a bit trickier than that, but yeah, it's just, and this is easy for you. It's just you game stack it. And there's just tremendous upside to doing that this week.
Yep, less target competition with Sam Laporta out on the Lions, so now it's a little bit easier to figure out who you want to stack off with. Yeah, that's a pretty fun game. Always Water asked Darnold for the win. Any interest in Sam Darnold against the Colts with their banged up secondary?
I mean, is Phillip Rivers older than you, Neil?
He is. He's 2 years older than me.
He's 2 years older than, and he's a grandfather. Yeah, you have to have Phillip Rivers ladders this week if you have a soul. If you have any joy left in your brittle bones in your body, you got to do that. But yeah, I mean, I don't know why you would play Darnold where it seems very likely this game is over very quickly, right?
Yeah, I mean, 5% ownership and he's only 5,800, so I guess those would be the reasons. I mean, the Colts are still in the playoff hunt, right? Like nobody believes in them at this point, but like they were really good for most of the year. They're still trying to win.
They're 13.5 point dogs, so I just
okay, that's fair. I mean, they're playing against a terrible matchup for them against the Seahawks defense. So
yeah.
Good luck in your first game back, Phillip Rivers.
We're rooting for you.
Yeah,
I might not even cool. Like if they have a good first drive, I'll turn off Red Zone and just watch him.
I am super curious to watch that game also. Yeah, I guess when we talk about defenses, we might have to bring up Seattle against a 44-year-old quarterback. Might be one to think about. All right, so what else? What else do you like? Drake May, Josh Allen. Do you like the Buffalo New England game? That one also feels like a game that could go off.
Yeah, I like Josh Allen. That's Jake Tribby's favorite contrarian quarterback of the week. It just looks like the ultimate Superman spot for Josh Allen, which is where we always want to play him. Third highest total of the main slate. They're only 1.5 point favorites. So in spots like this, historically, he averages like 28 DraftKings fantasy points per game, hits like 40 and 25% of those games. So really good spot for Josh Allen. He's just tricky to stack and expensive. And like honestly hard to stack on the other side. So I disagreed with Jake. But like I mean, he has potential to outscore every other quarterback by 15 fantasy points. And so a player you for sure need exposure to, certainly if you're a Neil Orfield MME type.
Yeah.
And for Millies. I also like Patrick Mahomes. Like that might be my favorite Millie quarterback. Vegas doesn't like the Chiefs, doesn't like this game, and their offensive line is decimated by injury. But they need to win this game to keep their playoff hopes alive. Mahomes has been really productive this year. He's been running. We think this is a pace up spot. So, I mean, it's just Patrick Mahomes, 2%. Why not?
And Andy Reid promised that he's going to tickle our tonsils. So we'll see. We'll see what that means. Didn't look like much in the last game.
Yeah.
All right. What else? And any other spots we want to target? Cam Ward at 4,600 against the Niners, with their defense being kind of banged up. I mean, I guess they haven't been terrible, but they're very banged up. So maybe, I don't know.
Philip Rivers is 600 more than Brady Cook.
That is wild.
I'm good, man. I'm good on everything else.
All right. Then we'll move on to running backs.
Full YOLO Kenny Pickett, maybe if you made me come up with a vomit stack. I don't, but probably
not. Woody Marks is the chalk now. 5,600. No Nick Chubb for the Texans. Woody Marks 5,600. 28% projected ownership. How much interest do you have in Woody Marks?
Yeah, he's probably the best play of the slate. Probably just going to lock him in.
Okay.
Like, I don't think he's good. I don't think he's talented. He's going to get like a 93% snap share and had a ton of touches last week.
Yeah. And the matchup with Arizona, I think, is at least decent, right? I haven't looked at schedule adjusted over the past 5 weeks, but let me pull that up. Yeah, it's the third best matchup over the past 5 weeks in terms of schedule adjusted fantasy points allowed to running backs. So yeah, that's a tough fade. He's expensive enough that he's not going to be like a lock button for me, but I do think 28% ownership seems reasonable for large field tournaments. So no issue there. Christian McCaffrey, we just talked about how this might be more of a pass funnel, but that doesn't necessarily hurt Christian McCaffrey. He's 9,000, projected for 25% ownership. How much do you like Christian McCaffrey?
Yeah, I think he's an awesome play. Massive implied point total in this spot. Best volume of any player in fantasy by like 25%. Ryan really likes the schematic matchup. Like just about all of CMC's runs come on man gap concepts. Tennessee's really bad there. They're also getting destroyed by running backs through the air, at least efficiency wise these last 5 weeks. So yeah, I think he's a great play, but if he's 200 more at 25% and Jahmyr Gibbs is 200 less at 18%, I think I'm going to have more Gibbs than CMC.
Okay. Looks like Jacobs will be out. Someone says in chat. Do we get any new information on Jacobs today? The latest that I saw is that Emmanuel Wilson is now questionable. So I might need to.
Whoa.
Yeah, but they might have elevated Pierre Strong because Emmanuel Wilson is hurt though, rather than Josh Jacobs. That might be a reaction to a different thing. So I don't know that we know for sure, but maybe I'm just behind on the latest news. But that will obviously, potentially shake things up if we get a cheap Packers running back. So you talked about McCaffrey versus Gibbs. Saquon Barkley now 7,100. We just saw him break off a 52-yarder.
All right, so Josh Jacobs is still questionable. Emmanuel Wilson has been added to the injury report, is questionable with an illness. Pierre Strong activated. Yeah, if Josh Jacobs is out, I will say I really like Jordan Love. Really good upside there. I talked about that in the Everything Report this week, so you can read that. Just always a lot of upside if they lean into the pass. They just like never do, but they've
Right.
done it in games Jacobs has been seriously hurt. So that's something to monitor. But right now they're all questionable. So
Okay.
tough.
All right. Saquon Barkley, 7,100, 15% ownership. Any interest there?
Yeah, this is a nuts spot for Saquon Barkley, and it's a really good. And he's coming off of one of his two only good games this year, but he's also had only two good games this year, so there's that. And you're playing him into ownership. I like Derrick Henry a little bit more. They're just about the same price in like equally nuts spots, but they're kind of the same play where it's just like if it doesn't happen this week, it's not going to happen again all year. And it's kind of weird that they've struggled as much as they have.
I'm going to half agree with you that it's kind of the same play. Like what you just said is true. Like if they can't get it done here, but like Derrick Henry, this is such a better spot. Like the Cincinnati is like the worst run defense like throughout the entire season.
Yeah, but he's so game script sensitive. It's if the Bengals come out of the gates
Yeah.
and Chase has a touchdown and then I don't know,
All right,
they're
that's
up
fair.
10-0, then it's over for him.
Yeah, there it could certainly go wrong. But to me, like 11% to me, I'm just looking at that. I would
Yeah.
want to be triple that probably at least. I think I'm going to have all the Derrick Henry if he actually comes in anywhere near 11%
I'll
ownership.
tell you what, I like Travis Etienne a lot more than either of them. And Etienne's one of my
Really?
favorite plays of the entire slate. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Tell me about that.
Well, he got every backfield touch last week after Basil Tootin fumbled. So maybe he gets, instead of this 70-30, it's a 90-10 split backfield. It's a easy top six matchup. He's one of the most he's just like Derrick Henry. He's one of the most game script sensitive running backs. He's going to have excellent game script this week. So maybe he doesn't have the same upside. I don't think he does actually. I think that's true. But it much safer, higher floor, probably better value in a vacuum, even if Chris's projections disagree with that.
Okay. All right. Let's get into. I mean, that's all the running backs over. I guess we didn't talk about Kenneth Walker. Can we still? I mean, Kenneth Walker. What the hell, man? Why is he not getting it done for us?
It's gonna happen eventually, and like, why wouldn't it happen this week?
Once all of my best ball teams that have him are knocked out of the playoffs, then it's going to happen. That's how it always works.
Right.
Yeah. Could it be this week though, against the Colts?
I mean, it's an elite spot. You stack them up with Seattle's defense up against a literal grandfather, right?
Yeah. All right. RJ Harvey. This is a tough spot with the Packers, right? Do we want to play RJ Harvey here?
Did I delete him from? No, I didn't. He was my least favorite of the GPP running back. Someone in comments is asking. This is just general GPP for single entry 3 max. The contrarian tier all the way at the bottom is more large field milli plays. Yeah, I mean volume's great. I kind of criticized him last week. He only has like 2 games over 35 rushing yards. But he was finally productive and efficient last week. It is really elite volume behind a top 3 offensive line with good game script. Well, actually, they're underdogs this week, which is a concern. Although target volume's good, but yeah, my least favorite of the running backs we've talked about, and as we've been saying all year, I kind of don't mind going pretty chalky.
All right. Any other running backs that you really like this week?
Yeah, if I'm not going to go super chalky, I want to go off the wall. And so I've got some off the wall plays for you. We talked about liking Commanders Giants. If one of these teams has a lead, they could just, these running backs could go off. Tyrone Tracy, 5%, 5,500. Chris Rodriguez, 4,900, 2%. Given the code speak on C-Rod, I kind of like him a little bit more. You're going to stack one of these running backs up with the defense. And this is a milli play, but it's one I like. Ryan Heath ended up writing like 3 paragraphs on these guys in advanced matchups, and he doesn't usually do that for like super off the wall plays. So that gives me some extra conviction. I think Travion Henderson is in play just because he's looked really good these last however many weeks, even if we are expecting more from Ramondre Stevenson. Playing low-owned running backs against the Bills has made me so much money because they invite the run. They're massive run funnels. It's just the game script isn't always there to let teams run on them. And then I got my nap for you, my Neil ass
Nice.
play,
All right.
which is Blake Corum at 4,800.
Okay.
This is the highest implied point total we've seen all year. He's seeing more and more work. It was like a 47%, 53% XFP split last week, when typically it's like 70, 30, 60, 40. And he's looked really good. Last 2 weeks, 20 touches, 212 yards from scrimmage, 3 touchdowns, 6-point favorites against the Lions. So that is a Neil ass play for you.
That does sound like a Neil ass play. All right. Any other
No
running backs? Okay. Jonathan Taylor. I mean, he's 8,500. I know he's playing with Phillip Rivers now, but like, could they just give Jonathan Taylor the ball?
He could just get 35 touches, and break some of those off for a long run, even if they do stack the box against him, which they will. But I'm not going to go there. It's a bit expensive for a Phillip Rivers running back.
Quinshon Judkins against the Bears. He's 6,300. We don't have Jerome Ford. He's on IR. Sounds like probably no Dylan Sampson. Is Quinshon Judkins in play? Is he just going to get all the volume?
Yeah, I don't know. I worry too much about game script. I think the Browns lose this game, but if you wanted to, contrarian stack Judkins plus Browns defense, you could do that.
What about the other side? We just saw Tony Pollard go off against this Browns defense. Could DeAndre Swift do it?
Yeah, absolutely. Ryan wrote a lot about this in the Everything Report about how teams just sort of give up, and it looks like the Browns' run defense has given up, just missed tackles all over the place these last however many weeks. And so, yeah, this went from a great run defense to one of the worst. And we did see both Swift, Monangai hit last week. There's some other extra schematic stuff that's compelling, but I don't know. I felt a bit thin for me for these two 50-50 committee backs.
Okay. Sounded like you didn't have anything else you want to talk about at running back?
No, probably not.
All right. We can move on to wide receiver. Jamar Chase projected for 25% ownership against the Ravens, 8,100. How are we feeling about Chase?
This is one of my favorite stats that, like, I'm sure no one cares about. It's just like really interesting to me. If you look back at Jamar Chase's last, 8 or 9 games without T. Higgins, over his 2 most recent games, he averages like 40 fantasy points per game. He has 26 targets, 17 catches, 303 yards, 2 touchdowns. Both of those games coincidentally came against the Ravens. If you remove those 2 games, he was worse without Higgins than with Higgins. He averaged 16 fantasy points per game versus 22.5 with him. Luckily, he's playing the Ravens. And so Ryan Heath and I talked about this, and he was like, yeah, we'll just read the advanced matchups, where he dug into it. And it's like the Ravens scheme is like the perfect schematic scheme. So it makes sense. Chase goes crazy and gets this extra volume. And so, yeah, it's just like no other wide receiver comes close to his slate wrecking upside. So I don't know. I thought that was interesting and, made me pause a little bit, but do feel good about Chase. Probably going to have heavy exposure, but if you wanted to fade him, you can say, hey, well, historically not as good without Chase, Higgins. Maybe the Ravens mix things up and they, bracket him or something. But like I said, his last 2 games against the Ravens, coincidentally, both without Higgins, he went super nuclear. It
does feel like this is a deep slate for pay-ups, who are pretty good. Like, you can make a pretty strong case for several of these pay-ups, which is maybe a reason that he's, the ownership won't get out of hand for someone like Chase, which is kind of nice. JSN, as we talked about, going up against.
Yeah, where are
Colts
people
defense.
getting this value to get to a 25%?
That is the trouble. Yeah.
2017, 15 for those top four.
Yeah, it's tough. There's not much value on this slate. I guess maybe double Ravens tight end. There's your value. JSN going up against Colts defense that is missing multiple pieces in the secondary. JSN 8,600 projected for 20% ownership. How much interest do you have there?
Yeah, I definitely don't like him as much as Chase, and I don't like him as much as Puka. The game environments are just night and day. You're talking about a 55-point over under versus JSN going up against a literal grandfather. So
true. Puka Nacua, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams all getting a fair amount of ownership in that Rams and Lions game. 17% ownership going to Puka Nacua at 8,700, 15% going to Amon-Ra St. Brown at 7,900, and then JMO getting 11% at 6,100. I guess Devontae Adams still in there, 9% at 7,200 as well. Who do you like in that Rams-Lions game? Are you playing all of them? Any fades for you? How are you playing that one?
Yeah, I like Puka Nacua a lot. Best game environment we've seen all year. Devontae Adams, old, dealing with this hamstring that has me legitimately concerned. Detroit's secondary decimated by injury, already down multiple cornerbacks. Now both starting safeties are out this week. That could be huge for big plays, which, we know Adams, has 20 more end zone targets than Puka this year. So that's big for him. So really like Puka. Listen, I wish I had a lean on St. Brown versus JMO. I don't think I do. It was Jameson because I do worry about that ankle. We know St. Brown is a warrior who plays through everything, especially if you watch that Netflix show, Wide Receivers, that. But I mean, he looked great last week and the volume was there. So maybe that shouldn't be a concern. It's a reverse slot funnel. So that made me lean Jameson earlier in the week, but then I read Ryan Heath stuff. I read Nick Spinola's stuff, and they're more St. Brown. So I don't know. It's just kind of however the lineups really work. Jameson, a much better value on FanDuel. St. Brown, probably a better technical value on DraftKings, but they're just both great plays.
So is this one where if you were MME and you would just mix and match kind of how you want to play that game stack and then play kind of heavy game stacks in that one?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. You are now known as the Wandale Whisperer instead of the Wandale Hater, apparently.
I'm not that either. I'm just Wandale's biggest fan. He's
okay. All right.
Turned me into a fanboy, I guess. Yeah, this is a really, listen, he's getting real like wide receiver one usage. It's like, Michael Wilson light kind of stuff. He looks good and he's playing well, and Jackson Dart looks good. And this is a top 3 matchup. So he is in play. He's probably not as good as 14%, but he's okay. He's up there. Better value on FanDuel, but yeah, cannot throw shade like Wan'Dale Robinson, although I did it, for 2 years straight.
That's true. So you do know how to throw the shade, but not this week. Nico Collins, 6,700 against the Cardinals, projected for 13% ownership. How much interest do you have in Nico Collins?
Yeah, I like him a lot. This is a nut spot for him. It's a perfect schematic matchup. He's hit 90 yards in 4 of his last 5. He's had a 24% target share in 5 of his last 6. Since week 9, only Michael Wilson has more targets. Only JSN has more receiving yards. Again, great matchup. Cover 4 friendly Cardinals, which Nico historically dominates. But I'll say this. We're showing 13%. And make sure you check ownership again on tomorrow night and Sunday. I think Darren's coming back from his trip and he's going to update projections in an hour, ownership projections in an hour. But I think I like Michael Wilson straight up. And then you are seeing a vast discrepancy in ownership. And it's like, why would we get off of him? Like he's Marvin Harrison Sr. whenever Marvin Harrison Jr. is out, or he's like Jamar Chase, dude. He's averaging a mind-boggling 16.3 targets, 150 yards, 33.8 DraftKings fantasy points per game. I know Nico has an elite matchup, and I know Michael Wilson has like a worst possible matchup if you pull up schedule adjusted, but it's just been, we're talking about 15 plus targets in every single game. We're talking about 25 plus DraftKings fantasy points in every single game. So at lower ownership, that's my lean. I will say, if you've been watching the show, the past like 4 weeks, the slate breakdown's been on fire. I personally have been a little less on fire. So, maybe just stick with the projections here and disagree with me. But the way I'm going to play it is I'm going to go Michael Wilson. But what do you think? Maybe you can talk me off of that.
Yeah, I mean, at 8% ownership, I think it's tough to argue that is a bad play. Like he's just been so good for so long. And like my inclination is like, hopefully he gets chalky so I don't have to play Michael Wilson at 6,600 against the Texans. But like you said, he's just been incredible. Like they're force feeding the ball to Michael Wilson. So yeah, I think it makes sense to get above this. Are you laughing at the t-shirts in the store?
Yeah, what?
I mean,
no way.
The graphic design here is just so
awesome.
impressive. Like who thought of this brilliant design here? And unfortunately, Trey, what you don't seem to understand is that it's actually Neil Asplays, not Neil Asplays. So yeah, but you can buy a Neil Asplay t-shirt apparently in the Fantasy Point shop if you are inclined to buy a Neil Asplay t-shirt if you're a big believer in the Neil Asplays.
If you wear it to your wedding, we'll give you a Fantasy Point subscription.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, just wear it to your wedding.
Actually, anyone's wedding. It doesn't have to be yours.
Wear it to somebody else's wedding.
Yeah,
I like that. That'd be even better. Sorry, let me get my tabs back here. Okay. That's really funny. Who else do we like
nicely
here?
done, Trey. Trey, who is dealing with the worst combination in the world. This is like the 9th layer of hell. He has a broken rib and the hiccups right now.
Yeah, just absolutely terrible.
Down bad. Thank you, Trey.
We were discussing cures for the hiccups before the show, and for anybody who has not tried it, all you need to do, cover your ears with your thumbs and chug a glass of water like this. Works for me every single time. I don't know if it was taught to me like as a joke. Like maybe you just need to chug the water. Maybe somebody just wanted me to look like an idiot as a kid. I've been doing it my entire life though, and it works every single time. So just give it a shot.
Wow.
All right. Continuing on, Jawan Jennings only 5,200. How do you feel about Jawan Jennings against this pass funnel Tennessee defense?
He's okay. It is a great matchup. Solid technical value. I'm a Kittle guy. I've always been a Kittle guy. So that's my personal lean. But again, it was very favorable to him in the slate breakdown. So he's firmly in play.
All right. You already talked about Terry McLaurin, liking McLaurin
again,
a bit.
I really like the upside. This is a boomer bust play, but I see a lot more slate wrecking potential than 10%.
Yeah. How about Deebo Samuel?
He's the safer play. He's the better technical value. He could hit. If you're going to stack that game, I'm probably going to play both. But I prefer McLaurin personally.
Okay. You talked about liking Patrick Mahomes. Is Rashee Rice your preferred stacking partner?
Yeah. I think I'm only going to play him on Mahomes teams just because there's so many good high-priced wide receivers this week. But it is a perfect schematic matchup for Rashee, which has been really important this year. Those zone-heavy spots. So should be a big Rashee game this week.
All right. What about the Ass God 4,400?
Yeah, not playing him without Tyrod.
Okay, fair. There's another one that I had a question on. Mitch Tinsley is only 3,100 with no T. Higgins. Do you have interest there?
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of Ass God-esque. He's kind of, Dontavian Wicks-esque, except like I don't think he's actually good. Whereas I think those guys at least are good at getting open. But his last 2 games without either Chase or Higgins, he averages 7.5 targets per game and 18% target share, 2 deep targets per game, 1.5 red zone targets per game, 1.5 end zone targets per game. That's elite volume. He's done nothing with it, but that's just elite volume for a $3,100 price tag. I'm into it, especially if I have one of the quarterbacks in this game.
All right. Any other wide receivers that are on your radar?
Yeah. Shamir DK is Ryan Heath's biggest conviction call from among the, Galaxy Brain tier players.
Okay.
Jerry Judy's also in play. I did throw some positivity his way, but I'm probably not going to play any of him. I will have some Shamir DK on my Purdy teams. Just an elite schematic matchup for him. Hasn't been terrible. Volume's been pretty solid, so he's a decent punt, and I like that correlation for Purdy, who I'm going to have a good amount of.
Okay. Do you have any interest in Eli Ayamanor, 3,500?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't.
All right. Who else? Anybody?
No, I don't think so.
All right, we're gonna move on to tight ends. I'm using my wife's mouse, and it is killing me. Like, it just doesn't scroll the way it's supposed to. All right, George Kittle is the chalk at tight end. Sounds like you have a lot of interest in George Kittle,
though. Yeah, I do. He's for sure mispriced. This is just, I'm a George Kittle stan. I've always have been, and I've had this narrative for multiple weeks now. Is just, I think, he's Brock Purdy's clear number one receiver. That wasn't the case with Mac Jones, has been the case since Purdy returned, was the case last year. Stat I had was over his last 15 full games with Purdy, he averages 16.9 fantasy points per game. That that would rank like top 10 among wide receivers. If you throw out bad weather games, which isn't like me cherry picking, because like always we're doing outside the box. If it's a bad weather game, I'm like, hey, I'm not as into Kittle. I'm not as into Purdy this week. Because that's been an issue for Purdy dating back to college. Then that jumps to like 21.3 fantasy points per game, 14.5 fantasy points in like 15 of 16 games. So yeah, and it's just looks to be a top 5 matchup for him, mispriced. So I like Kittle, unique upside for the position. He's a player I'm going to have a good amount of exposure to.
All right.
But I don't think he's the cash tight end. I don't think he's the best value of the slate.
Yeah. Okay. Is that Harold Fannin? Theo?
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Harold Fannin, 4,000 against the Bears. No David Njoku. We love it.
Yeah, it's just elite usage since Shedeur Sanders took over. I mean, good production too, 15.4 fantasy points per game, a 25% target share. No David Njoku. I am not a Shedeur Sanders truther, but 4K for this usage volume has been great. And hey, this is, like, it's kind of like Kyle Pitts, like every week we're just like, I think he kind of sucks, but like this volume and usage is so good. And then, he had the regression game, and Fannin had a little bit of that last week, but there's still room for more.
Yeah. Looking like an elite spot for Fannin. It is weirdly like schedule adjusted, not as good for tight ends as wide receivers, but like, do we think that's just kind of splitting hairs looking at schedule adjusted stuff
I think it's just just chasing the volume, which has been so strong.
Theo Johnson has been pretty good in general with Jackson Dart on the season. He's 3,500 projected for 12% ownership. How much interest do you have there?
At 12%, mild interest. I'm probably not going to play him at all unless I have one of the quarterbacks, but he's not a bad play by any means.
Okay. Any other tight ends popping off for you?
Yeah, quite a bit, I would say. Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely. Yeah, you have to, and I love both of them. The Bengals are giving up 24.1 fantasy points per game to tight ends. That's 50% more than any other defense. That's more than any other defense in over a decade, with like only one other defense giving up more than 18 fantasy points per game over that span. And, they're also getting eaten alive by tight end twos. Dawson Knox, Isaiah Likely, both had over 90 yards these last 2 weeks. Darnell Washington also hit a season high against them a couple of weeks before that. So you could play both. You could play either one. You have to like tight ends any week against Cincinnati. Kobe Parkinson, I like. I think he has tremendous touchdown upside. You're talking about a 30.5 point implied total, and a guy who has 10 red zone targets over his last 4 games. Easily leads all tight ends by a margin. Devontae Adams banged up. So like him for tournaments. He could be the multiple touchdown guy this week. And then AJ Barner is a fine value. Elijah Arroyo's out. He gets some of the tush push stuff. And he's okay. And
you mentioned Gesicki already.
Yeah, I want to double down on that though. He's really good for this ownership. So last week he outproduced Jamar Chase, 6 catches, 86 yards and a score. This hasn't been the case this year, but was the case last year. Whenever T. Higgins was out or on the injury report, he went crazy. 8.8 targets, 75 yards per game, 16 fantasy points per game. T. Higgins is out this week. So tremendous upside for that price tag. I really like him. And I like Brock Bowers a lot too. He's just been really good, and he's just the ultimate bet on talent play. Excluding games he wore a knee brace, 17.8 fantasy points per game. He had that near 50 burger about a month ago. I know volume has really come down with this new OC change, but feels a little fluky. I mean, the dude is just so good. And I don't know that Kenny Pickett's a downgrade. That might be an upgrade. So just 3%, throw him in a milli instead of George Kittle. I think that's an interesting way to get different and give yourself upside.
What about Brenton Strange? He's had pretty nice volume since returning. 4,200 against the Jets. Any interest there?
Yeah, I think that's a fine thesis. It's just hard for me to get there instead of playing Fannin. Like even if I had 200 remaining, I think I'd just play Fannin.
Okay. Any other tight ends stand out to you?
I don't think so.
Okay. Defenses, anything else, or should we get into making?
Let's skip defense. I'll talk about it with Johnny on tomorrow morning.
Okay. All right, then let's get to making some lineups. And for people asking in chat, yes, I am traveling. I am in New Orleans right now. This was we told you no show this week, so we are doing a condensed version of the show because I've got big plans for the rest of the day. But we're still, we're going to go a little over an hour. Make a few lineups here before we get out. Let's follow the same format we've been doing, Scott, where we go back and forth taking. I think we've been doing 3 and 3 and then 1, 1, 1. Do you want to keep doing that?
Yeah.
All right. Do you want to start with the first one, or should I?
I'm thinking like what's the chalkiest lineup of the week? Is it Stroud, Marks, Nico? Like I'm not saying we play it.
It sounds like that is the chalk. Yeah.
Let's go with. Is there leverage on that I'm not thinking of?
Schultz, I guess, would be some leverage there. Don't like ruin any of the running backs. I guess Schultz is the only leverage I can think of there.
Jacoby,
but he's also getting, I guess just 5%. That's not bad.
Jacoby, Michael Wilson, Trey McBride, which has made us so much money this year. Sorry for that tangent. Let us go with a Lamar Jackson or Joe Burrow. Let's just stack that game up.
All right, let's try. You want to do Lamar with the double tight end, or what are you thinking?
Yeah.
Likely is, let's see, 3,400, and then Chase on the other side, or sorry, you're supposed to give 3, and now I'm just giving you all my thoughts.
No, yeah, let's go Chase and Tinsley.
Yeah. We did not follow our usual format for this, but that's why I'll add one more, and then we'll go back to 1-1-1. All right, let's see. But I think I like that start doing a full game stack.
No, this is how we should do it. Is like maybe we agree on the game stack, and this is the week for game stacks. This is really the way to do it this week. I think is, let's game stack Baltimore, Cincy. Let's game stack Detroit, Los Angeles. Let's game stack Washington Giants, and so someone asked me my favorite single entry quarterback is. I might only play three entry max this week actually, but is to do it like that.
Okay. Woody Marks, since
Yeah.
it's a relatively We've got a lot of money to spend.
Yeah, I love that.
6,500 left per pick with a defense, wide receiver, and running back. I mean, we could pay up for Seahawks against Old Man Rivers if we wanted to. Niners against Cam Ward, or would you rather spend down and have just tons of salary left over?
Let's do Etienne.
All right.
That way we could do either a cheap defense and like a super stud, or we can just stack up with the expensive defense. And
yeah, we could do one of the defenses with our running backs if you wanted. And we have tons of money left over.
Yeah.
So who would be your favorite spend up receiver? Puka?
Yeah.
All right. Then we have 4,300 left over for our defense.
And Jaguars D.
Do we want to leave 400 on the table, or is there somewhere else we could upgrade? Take a look at the running backs. And we could upgrade to Burrow actually if you thought that's better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, there you go. Leaves 200 on the table.
But then, do you want to upgrade, or you want to move likely to Jasicki?
Oh, sure, triple stack.
I mean, we're just showing
Yeah.
the different routes you can go here.
Let me search it. Oh, he's cheaper. He's cheaper than likely. But yeah, now we would have a triple stack of Burrow with Chase, Tinsley, and Gesicki, with Andrews bring back one-offs of Woody Marks, Travis Etienne with the Jaguars defense, and Puka Nacua. We'll go with that. Uh-oh.
Well,
What?
here we'll just why don't we just screenshot this and we can enter the lineups later from your phone.
That's weird. I swear I've been able to enter. I played DFS last night here, so that is strange. All right, I was not able to screenshot it because the lineup went away.
That's right. This will be on YouTube, so I can just find it that way.
All right, let's try another one. All right, we could want to do a Rams Lions game stack.
Yeah.
All right, we'll do. You want to do Goff, Gibbs, and
yes, wide receiver, and Puka.
All right, I'll start with Amon-Ra, and then we'll swap out if we need to.
And we got to play the nap on this. I mean, we need the savings anyway.
Okay, that is true.
And so the way this works is Rams dominate in the first half. Puka scores a ton of points, and then they kind of ice it with Corum. But in this garbage time, Goff is going crazy. Or maybe not. Maybe it's just a 50-50 split. And Corum's looked great these last few weeks.
Yeah, he's looking really good. That's true.
And Tinsley, I guess, because we're so desperate for money.
How do you feel about the Saints defense against Bryce Young in New Orleans?
Yeah, that's fine.
That's kind of what I'm targeting. And then we can do Tinsley.
I don't mind Chargers against Mahomes down like 3 starting offensive linemen in a desperation spot where he's going to have to be aggressive.
How much are the Chargers? Oh, they're the same price as the Saints. Okay.
Yeah, but they're either way. I like them both. You could play Saints. I wasn't saying Chargers are better.
Okay, but yeah, same price. Either way works. Do we want to go like Parkinson, or would you rather just play?
Maybe we go Parkinson. We could take Corum out. We could play C-Rod and Commanders maybe. I actually don't know what Commander's price is, but
C-Rod more expensive thing. I mean, we could put C-Rod in here.
Oh, there you go. Boom. I love it.
Full salary used. We have Jared Goff double stacked with Jahmyr Gibbs and Amon-Ra St. Brown with triple bringback of Blake Corum, Puka Nacua, and Colby Parkinson. The lineup also has Mitch Tinsley as a value, C-Rod as a bit of a value, and then Chargers defense against Mahomes and the Chiefs. Not going to let me submit it, I guess. I'm going to try again. I'm going to try one more time, and then we'll go back. It was so weird that they, okay. All right, fine. Maybe this just happened. Maybe they just banned it last night. I just saw they were in Arizona restricting underdogs.
Someone's saying Tinsley is going to be steamed for how shitty he is. That really might be the case. Jack Betch is a player we didn't talk about, but he's really interesting to me. He had like a 50% target share with Kenny Pickett last week. Route share went from like 10% all year to 50%, then 75%. It's a good matchup. The only concern is I don't know how much that usage bump was with Mayer out, with Ian Thomas out, with Dante Thornton out, or if it's just real and like this is their highly drafted rookie and they're finally playing him. But he's probably a good pivot for millies such as this. You want to do a Dart Dart or Mariota?
Yeah, let's do it. All right, let's do Dart Wandale and Theo, or what are you thinking there?
I would do Dart with only one of them, or Mariota with both of his receivers.
Okay, we could do Mariota with McLaurin and Debo, or okay, yeah, let's do that. It's kind of fun. Mariota. McLaurin. Oh, that didn't work.
I have to pee so badly.
Do you want to go now before we're done?
No, that's okay.
Okay, we'll just finish up the show. All right.
I'll just pee my pants here in this chair.
That works. Yeah, just piss on the show. Could be a first. Do you want to do Tyrone Tracy, bring back Theo Johnson, Wandale?
Let's keep it open for right now.
Okay.
Woody Marks. All right. Woody Marks, 5,600. Do you want to throw Michael Wilson in here? Do that kind of mini? Yeah, I like that a lot. Good call.
Now we have still 55-25 left. We could do a defense here. Could pay down.
When you play your Saints, we didn't get that.
All right. We'll do the Saints in this one. 65-33 left per pick with a running back, tight end, and flex. Do we want to go Johnson with Theo? Okay. Got a lot of money to spend.
Hell yeah, that's fun. I like it.
McCaffrey, Gibbs.
All right, yeah. Well, let's see our opportunities. Let's go with Gibbs and see what that gets us to.
Henry, boom.
Wow.
Look at that. Beautiful. That's perfect.
Nicely
all right.
done.
Marcus Mariota with Deebo Samuel and Terry McLaurin. Theo Johnson, bring back. We've got Woody Marks, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Derrick Henry. Michael Wilson, mini with Woody Marks and the Saints defense. That is an absolute beauty. Love that lineup. All right, we are going to finish the show now. Scott, anything that you want to tell the people before we get out of here?
Who are we rooting for, Neil? Who brought you to the live final?
Shady Advice, yeah. We want Shady Advice to win all the money as per usual.
Shady and Mazer Bowie. Those are
and Mazer Bowie. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Those are our guys. All right. Anything else?
That's it.
All right. You can use promo code OTB15 to get 15% off any product at Fantasy Points. Make sure you please like the video if you haven't already done so, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. That's all we got. We're going to get out of here. Scott will be back on tomorrow morning with Johnny behind the paywall, breaking the whole thing down with some more information. Thank you all for watching this abridged version of Outside the Box. We'll be back with a longer version probably next week. Thanks, everybody. See you then.
What?
Why are you shaking your head?
You're welcome.